You must lend me these, Basil. I want to learn them. They're perfectly charming.
Well, that entirely depends on how you sit today, Dorian.
Oh, I am tired of sitting, and I don't want a life-size portrait of myself. I beg your pardon, Basil, but I didn't know you had anyone with you.
This is Lord Henry Wotton, Dorian, an old Oxford friend of mine. I've just been telling him what a capital sitter you were, and now you've spoiled everything.
You have not spoiled my pleasure in meeting you, Mr. Gray. My aunt has often spoken to me about you. You are one of her favorites, and, I am afraid, one of her victims.
I am in Lady Agatha's black books at present. I promised to go to a club in Whitechapel with her last Tuesday, and I really forgot all about it. We were to have played a duet together. 3 duets, I believe. I don't know what she will say to me. I am far too frightened to call.
Oh, I will make your peace with my aunt. She is quite devoted to you. And I don't think it really matters what you're not being there. The audience probably thought it was a duet. When Aunt Agatha sits down, she makes quite enough noise for 2 people.
That is very horrid to her, and not very nice to me.
Far too charming for philanthropy, Mr. Gray. Far too charming.
Harry, I want to finish this picture today. Would you think it awfully rude of me if I asked you to leave?
Am I to go, Mr. Gray?
Oh, please don't, Lord Henry. I see that Basil is in one of his sulky moods, and I can't bear him when he sulks. Besides, I want you to tell me why I should not go in for philanthropy.
I don't know that I should tell you, Mr. Gray. It is so tedious a subject that one would have to talk seriously about it. But I certainly shall not run away, now that you have asked me to stop. You don't really mind, Basil, do you? You have often told me that you like your sitters to have someone to chat to.
If Dorian wishes it, of course he must stay. Dorian's whims are law to everyone except himself.
Have you really a very bad influence, Lord Henry? As bad as Basil says?
There is no such thing as a good influence, Mr. Gray. All influence is immoral, from a scientific point of view.
Why?
Because to influence a person is to give him one's own soul. He does not think his natural thoughts, or burn with his natural passions. His virtues are not real to him. His sins, if there are such things as sins, are borrowed. He becomes an echo of someone else's music, an actor for a part that was not written for him. The aim of life is self-development, to realize one's nature perfectly. That is what each of us is here for. People are afraid of themselves nowadays. They have forgotten the highest duty of all duties, the duty that one owes to oneself. Of course, they are charitable. They feed the hungry and they clothe the beggar, but their own souls starve, and they are naked. Courage has gone out of our race. Perhaps we have never had it. The terror of society, which is the basic for morals. The terror of God, which is the secret of religion. These 2 things are what govern us, and yet...
Dorian, just turn your head a little more to the right, like a good boy.
And yet, I believe that if one man were to live out his life fully and completely, were to give form to every feeling, expression, to every thought, reality, to every dream, I believe that the world would gain such a fresh impulse of joy that we would never forget all the maladies of medievalism and return to the Hellenic ideal, to something finer, richer than the Hellenic ideal. It may be, but the bravest man among us is afraid of himself. The mutual of the savage has its tragic survival in the self-denial that mars our lives. We are punished for our refusals. Every impulse that we strive to strangle broods in the mind and poisons us. The body sins once, and has done it with its sin. For action is a mode of purification. Nothing remains but the recollection of a pleasure, or the luxury of a regret. The only way to get rid of a temptation is to yield to it. Resist it, and your soul grows sick for longing for the things that it has forbidden itself with desire. For what is its monstrous laws have made monstrous and unlawful. It has been said that great events of the world take place in the brain. It is the brain, and the brain only, that the great sins of the world take place also. You, Mr. Gray, you yourself, with your rose-red youth and your rose-white boyhood, you have passions that have made you afraid, thoughts that have filled you with terror, daydreams and sleeping dreams, whose mere memory might stain your cheeks with shame.
Stop, you bewilder me. I don't know what to say. There is some answer to you, but I cannot find it. Don't speak, let me think, or rather let me try not to think. Basil, I am tired of standing. I must go sit in the garden. The air is stifling in here.
My dear fellow, I'm so sorry. When I'm painting, I can't think of anything else. But you never sat better. You were perfectly still, and I have caught the effect I wanted. The half-parted lips and the bright look in your eyes. I don't know what Harry's been saying to you, but he has certainly made you have the most wonderful expression. I suppose he's been paying you compliments, but you mustn't believe a word he says.
He has certainly not been paying me compliments. Perhaps that is the reason that I don't believe anything he has told me.
You know you believe it. Let us have some. I will go with you to the garden, and let us have something iced to drink. It is awfully hot in here. With strawberries in it, perhaps.
Certainly, Henry.
You are quite right to do that. Nothing can clear the soul but the senses, just as nothing can clear the senses but the soul. Yes, that is one of the great secrets to life. To cure the soul is by means of the senses, and the senses by means of the soul. You are a wonderful creation. You know more than you think you know, just as you know less than you want to. Let us go and sit in the shade. Parker has brought out the drinks, and if you stay any longer in this glare, you will be quite spoiled, and Basil will never paint you again. You must not allow yourself to become sunburnt. It will be unbecoming.
What does it matter?
It should matter everything to you, Mr. Gray.
Why?
Because you have the most marvelous youth, and youth is the one thing worth having.
I don't feel that, Lord Henry.
No, you don't feel it now. Someday, when you are old and wrinkled and ugly, when thought has seared your forehead with its lines and passions branded your lips with its hideous fires, then you feel it. You will feel it terribly. Now, wherever you go, you charm the world. Will it always be so? You have a wonderfully beautiful face, Mr. Gray. Don't frown. You have, and beauty is a form of genius, is higher, indeed, than genius, as it needs no explanation. It is of the great facts of the world, like sunlight or springtime, or the reflection in dark waters of that silver shell we call the moon. It cannot be questioned. It has a divine right of sovereignty. It makes princes of those who have it. You smile. Ah, when you have lost it, you won't smile. People say sometimes that beauty is only superficial. That may be so. But at least it is not so superficial as thought is. To me, beauty is the wonder of wonders. It is only shallow people who do not judge by appearances. The true mystery of the world is the visible, not the invisible. Yes, Mr. Gray, the gods have been good to you. But what will gods give to you that they won't take away quickly? You have only a few years in which to live really, perfectly, and fully. When your youth goes, your beauty will go with it. And then you will suddenly discover that there are no triumphs left for you, or have to content yourself with those mean triumphs that the memory of your past make even more bitter than defeats. Every month as it wanes, bringing you nearer to something dreadful. Time is jealous of you, Mr. Gray, and wars against your lilies and your roses. You'll become sallow and hollow-cheeked and dull-eyed. You will suffer horribly. Realize your youth while you still have it. Don't squander the gold of your days listening to the tedious, trying to improve the hopeless failure, or giving away your life to the ignorant, the common, and the vulgar. These are the sickly aims, the false ideals of our age. Live the wonderful life that is in you. Let nothing be lost upon you. Be always searching for new sensations. Hedonism, that is what our century wants. You might be its visible symbol. With your personality, there is nothing you could not do. The world belongs to you for a season. The moment I met you, I saw that you were quite unconscious of what you really are, of what you really might be. There was so much in you that charmed me, that I felt I must tell you something about yourself. I thought how tragic it would be if you were wasted. For there is such little time that our youth will last, such a little time. The common hill flowers wither, but they blossom again. The lawburn will be just as yellow next June as it is now. In a month there will be purple stars on the clementines, and year after year the green night of its leaves will hold its purple stars. But we never get back our youth. The pulse of joy that beats in us at 20 becomes sluggish. Our limbs fail, our senses rot. We degenerate memory of the passions of which we were too afraid, and the exquisite temptations that we had not the courage to yield to. Youth, there's absolutely nothing but youth.
I'm waiting. Do come in, the light is quite perfect. And you can bring your drinks too.
You are glad to have met me, Mr. Gray.
Yes, I am glad now. I wonder, shall I always be glad?
Always. That is a dreadful word. It makes me shudder when I hear it. Women are so fond of using it. They spoil every romance by trying to make it last forever. It is a meaningless word, too. The only difference between a caprice and a long life passion is that the caprice lasts a little longer.
In that case, let our friendship be a caprice.
My dear fellow, I congratulate you most warmly. It is the finest portrait of modern times. Mr. Gray, come look at it yourself.
Is it really finished?
Quite finished. You've sat splendidly today. I'm awfully obliged to you.
That is entirely due to me, isn't it, Mr. Gray?
Don't you like it?
Of course he likes it. Who wouldn't like it? It is one of the greatest things in modern art. I will give you anything you ask for it.
It is not my property, Harry.
Whose property is it?
Well, Dorian's, of course.
He is a very lucky fellow.
How sad it is. How sad it is. I shall grow old and horrible and dreadful, but this picture will remain always young. It will never be older than this particular day of June. If it were only the other way, if it were I who was always to be young and for the picture that was to grow old. For that I would give everything. Yes, there is nothing in the whole world I would not give. I would give my soul for that.